Welcome to season 3, guys, the Hawk Vision podcast. I am your host, Chuck Hawkins, here to help you shorten the learning curve on your way to greatness. Over 100 interviews, guys, of successful entrepreneurs and thought leaders. They've graced the show so that we can understand what the process of chasing and achieving greatness looks like. Make sure you like, share, subscribe across all of your social media platforms, especially here at YouTube. More importantly, share this podcast with other visionaries just like you. Before we get started, take a look in the show notes. You'll see a way to support the show by buying a cup of coffee or two for my subscribers. You'll also receive something back from me personally in your DMs or your messages. You'll also see about sponsorship and advertisement opportunities for my subscribers. So listen, let's jump right into it. Our guest this week is someone that I am absolutely excited to spend some time with. His energy, his movement, his living resume of success is something that I haven't seen in a long time. His name stays in rooms that he never has to touch, yet he still reaps those benefits. He's an author, speaker, coach, and one of the most accomplished true entrepreneurs around. We're talking a community of well over 100,000 engaged followers online, and he's been on stage with some of the absolute legends of the industry and is quickly becoming one of the most impactful voices of our time. It is my pleasure to bring to you Mr. Brian Beane. Welcome to the show, sir.
Chuck, I appreciate it, man. I am super excited. I mean, this show comes highly recommended, and I'm glad we connected, man. This is not the end, this is the beginning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, I'm so excited to have you on because, you know, once the referrals come in and given who it came from, and we'll talk about that, I was like, I don't even really need to do none. But then I started looking, man, listen, your energy is amazing. It is untouchable. So I'm excited. Thank you for jumping on.
I'm going to try to bring it through this computer like we do on stage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and get the easy obligatory question out of the way. How does Brian Beane become Brian Beane? What got you into wanting to work for yourself?
Wow. Believe it or not, man, it was knowing at an early age. I got the speaking bug at an early age, and seeing that the power in words.
Yeah.
And my mom actually gave me a book, 9 little pages from Jim Rohn's called Quotes by Jim Rohn. Can you believe that?
Wow.
It shows you the power of a book, man. And actually, yeah, it's really not a book. It's like a pamphlet. It's like 9 pages. Quotes by Jim Rohn. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The wind blows on us all. It's just a matter of how you set the sails. And at 9 years old, that kind of stuck with me, like, that makes sense, right? So then next thing you know, man, she gave me a book that's this thick called Laws of Success when I was 19. And so at an early age, I got to credit my mom. She started giving me personal growth and self-development doctrines. And I started going to personal growth and self-development seminars. And I started saying, I want to be that person on the stage.
Wow.
So I was very, very fortunate to retire when I was 22 years old. I'm 46 now. So for 20 plus years, wow, I've been on stages, hosting events and showing people that words are the most powerful things when you channel them properly and have a group of and have an audience who wants to hear what you have to say. So it's been 25 years, man, on stages, teaching people mindset and money.
That's crazy. And you know, it's what I love about that the most is I spent a lot of time trying to early on sprinkle that into my daughters now. And, you know, sometimes I can see the results, sometimes I can't. And, and so it's good to hear, right? Like, it's good to hear that, you know, it's going to seep in at some point. We all have our different learning curves. And then you and I, we grew up, there was no social media. There was no Instagram to distract us, right? It was, we were kind of different in terms of, you know, we were focusing on and that exposure that she gave you. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, man. They're listening. And Chuck, what's funny, and I tell parents this all the time, it may not even manifest right now. And a lot of times it doesn't seem like our children are paying attention. It doesn't seem like what we're saying is working because, you know, they're children.
Yeah.
But when they become adults, what you're doing and what we're doing as parents is giving them lesson after lesson after lesson, story after story after story, even our bad moments. You're giving yourself a catalog that you can pull from. So when your child reaches our age, they were like, you know what? My dad went through the same thing. So I tell people all the time, it doesn't seem like they're listening, but the opposite of that is to do nothing. And then watch where your children end up. So trust me, they're getting it, man. I know we all feel that way. I'm like, my son is 18. I'm like, Are you watching what I'm doing? I'm like, you don't have to ask it. They're watching.
Right. Are you paying any attention to this? One of the best moments, and it hasn't really been just because of quarantine and this whole COVID thing that's lasted entirely too long. But one of the things that I take more pride in now is going to sit down and having a shot of whiskey with my dad. Right. And we were just talking, about your father. Did you get a chance to tell him, thank you for what you gave me?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My father passed in February 1st of 2020. And ironic story is the world was just mourning Kobe. I think Kobe passed away like January 27th or 28th.
Yeah.
My father passed February 1st. So it was already this crazy dark cloud. And a lot of people don't know, but my father was a Parliament Funkadelic. George Clinton, Bootsy Collins, Isaac Hayes, Little Richard. My dad played guitar with some of the legends. Some of y'all may be too young, but Chuck, you know about them names.
Look, some of my listeners too young, but yeah, we could P-Funk all day.
P-Funk all day. So man, when my father passed away, I was there the whole time. I was there all the way to the end. And I was able to tell him and get out every single thing while he was coherent.
Yeah.
Every single thing that he needed to hear, I was able to express, including how thankful I was, how grateful I was, everything that he showed me, everything that he demonstrated, who he was as a man, hard work, perseverance, all those things. And my father passed at 5:08 a.m. and I was on stage at 11 a.m. as the keynote speaker the same day. It's on YouTube. Yep, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke that day.
Put a pin in that one. We coming back to that one.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how I understand obligations.
Yeah.
But I know how I am with my father. And I remember Boys in the Hood when it first came out. And Furious Styles was telling his son, he said, they don't have their fathers around. And you're gonna see how they turn out.
You'll see the difference.
Man, listen, that sticks with me. When old folks used to say, keep on living. That sticks with me. All right, so let's talk about the mindset that it takes to walk on stage just a few short hours after that happens. One, what stopped you outside of the check and your obligations, right? What does it take to compartmentalize that and then go perform at the highest level?
Well, here's what's funny. It was a non-paid speaking engagement. Yeah, can you believe it? Yeah, I did it. Let me tell you why I did it. It was a non-paid speaking engagement, but I did it because I wanted to prove to myself and to the audience that if I can experience what I just experienced 7 hours earlier, 6 hours earlier, I didn't let the audience know that he passed until the very end. It's on YouTube. You can put my name in YouTube and it's there.
Yeah.
I didn't let the audience know that he passed until the very end, right? What made me do it was to prove to myself and the audience that if I can do what I just did and stay committed and persevere and tell a story and still come out and make you guys laugh and still come out and make sure you guys learn, then you can't give me any excuses and I can't give myself any excuses from this day forward. If I can do that, I can overcome anything. So it was really him speaking through me first. I knew it was something that he wanted me to do. Second, he wouldn't want me to stick around. He left this world physically, but spiritually, he's telling me, hey, you got an obligation. I didn't raise you to have a speaking engagement and stop because of me. My father would have killed me had I stopped and because of him and not done what these people in this crowd wanted me to do. Probably one of the best speaking engagements I've ever had. I didn't have any notes, which I seldom do. But I made it up on the plane on the way to the stage, and it's one of my best ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. One of the statements that I heard you make, you said your money is going to make someone wealthy. The question is who?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that sentence, man. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So money's not owned by you; it's just loaned by you. And what I learned that from a guy in the streets a long time ago. A lot of you guys don't know, but I kind of grew up on both sides of the tracks. I grew up with the elements in my backyard, but I went home to my nice suburban neighborhood. And money's not owned by you. It's just loaned by you. And what that means is when your money comes in, you did the work, you got in traffic, whatever you had to do, you made the sale, you got the clients, you took time away from your family to make money. for your family. But by the time the government gets in your pocket, your net income and your gross income are two different things. So your net income actually makes you feel gross.
Yes, very.
So my point is, you're paying the government first, you're paying the bank second, because they take so much taxes off the top that you end up getting in debt on the bottom. So the two biggest entities in the world, the federal government with taxes and the banks with interest, they end up taking you for a ride, and they make themselves wealthy off your money. So your money's gonna make somebody wealthy. The question is who? We teach income shifting on stages all over the country because we want you to get the money first, then the government, and then the banks, if at all. So your money's gonna make somebody wealthy. The question is who? You're lending it to somebody, and you should be lending it to yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that you got into the income shifting, because my favorite two animals, right, is the hawk by definition, my last name, but I also like tigers. What does that say about me and where my money's going?
All sports. No, man, let me tell you something. I like both animals, okay. Right? I haven't studied the hawk. I'm gonna do that just for you.
Please.
But the falcon, there's a saying, and it's not just because an Atlanta Falcon. It's called a peregrine falcon, right?
Okay.
The Atlanta Falcons, this Zoom will be over a long time ago. But the peregrine falcon actually dives from the top and only eats live birds. It's called a peregrine falcon. It's the fastest moving animal on the planet. He flies at 260 miles an hour, right? Yeah. So what does that say? In order to hit your goals, you got to get above them. And I tell people that all the time. In order to hit your goals, you have to get above them. People aren't thinking big enough in business. People aren't thinking big enough in life. People always say, I want to leave a legacy for my family. Well, here's how you get on top of that goal. Why don't you create a legacy now so both of y'all can enjoy it? See, Hawk, everybody wants to leave a legacy. You've been taught that. So what you're saying is, I'm going to work, build, and then when I'm gone, I have something. Okay, that's one thought, and I ain't knocking that. Yeah. What about work, build, and while I'm here, our children and grandchildren enjoy the legacy that we created while we're alive? See? So you got to get above your goals. Whatever you're thinking right now, ask yourself, if I just had 5% more self-confidence, what would I do? 5%. If I had 5% more in self-esteem, what would I do? Just 5%. So you can take any goal you have and just stretch it a little bit and get above it, and then go after it with speed. See, a peregrine falcon flies at 250 miles an hour. He uses his gift of speed because he's small and he doesn't have a lot of time. Does that make sense?
So yes, let's go.
You get above your goal and act like time is running out. So for those that don't know, I own a training series called Instincts, and Chuck, he threw me the perfect pass. His last name is Hawkins, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Love the hawk and the tiger. And I have about 18 animals that people hire me to come in and speak on. Not all 18, but they can pick from.
Sure.
And the peregrine falcon is the one that I use to help people stretch their goals and fly above their goals and dreams so they can land exactly where they want to land. And it's a powerful, powerful thing, man. I think too many people are going into these, the new year and New Year's resolutions and the next 5 years, and they don't understand. Let's quit putting our goals so far out and acting like it's something you want to leave. Don't leave a goal, live a goal.
So how do we expand our vision or craft our vision so that we're able to see how to get on top of the goal and then be able to see it while we're going 200 miles an hour, right? Like,
right.
That's to me, it sounds like, I mean, I love the analogy, of course, but it sounds like you have to spend a little bit more time preparing, right, to take off and putting everything in place and learning your steps. And what's the balance of getting lost in the preparation versus launching that 200 mile an hour attack?
Right. So here's the thing. There's a difference between speed and quickness, right? There's a big difference between speed and quickness. In other words, a motto I use is take your time, but hurry up. Right? There's a balance in that.
Yes.
So we want to start going after our goals and we want to accomplish them quickly, but we want to take we want to start preparing quickly, right? You want to start preparing quickly, but you want to take your time mapping it out. Prepare quickly, but take your time mapping it out. So here's what I mean by this. If I know that I need to get from here to the West Coast, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I want to get to the West Coast. Well, what most people do is they'll say, first of all, should we go to the West Coast? You know, it's a lot of wildfires in California. Or you know that we might run into some traffic.
Yep.
Or how are we going to get there? See, that's what I mean by too many people delay the agony of going to work. Wealthy people and successful people go, okay, I'm going to California. Sorry, I've already made up my mind. I'm going to California. I'm not worried about wildfires. We're not going up there anywhere. And if I'm worried about traffic, I got GPS. So what I'm saying is prepare quickly, but don't speed to California and get a ticket or get into an accident on the way to your goal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I used to have a mentor that told me successful people make quick decisions and then work to make them the right decision.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Success. We made quick decisions. So I've decided I'm going to California. I'm not worried about the mental hurdles and the self-sabotage that's going to try to talk me out of it. So I've quickly made my decision, but I'm not going to get into a car accident on my way to California. I'm going to make sure I got the right road maps. I'm going to make sure I read all the signs. I'm going to make sure I go the most direct route. If I get sleepy, I got a passenger. I'm not going to kill myself to get there, but making a decision to go, I ain't going to take all year to do that.
Absolutely. So that leads me to my next question, because you also say success is a systematic process.
Yes.
How do I have listeners that are in either furthering their entrepreneurial career or chasing their goal, whether it's 9 to 5 or not. They're in the middle of attacking. And that's why I bring people on that are still actively in their industry, right? How is success a systematic process when we've been taught to look at it as an end goal? Explain the system part.
Yeah, so success is a systematic process. So I tell people all the time, I use my cheetah example, right? Everything I do,
Let's go.
Okay, I use the cheetah, for example. So again, you might think, the cool thing about the Instinct series is you might think that the answer is obvious. Brian, cheetahs love speed, but that's not what I teach, believe it or not. I teach the speed with the Peregrine Falcon.
Okay.
With the cheetah, I teach how to build momentum and change direction. A cheetah's tail is extremely long, Chuck, because it acts as a rudder. So when he's on that antelope, he can go left, he can go right, and he can do it in an instant, because he'll die if he runs at 70 miles an hour for a long period of time. What's my point? A cheetah makes decisions to pick up speed and change direction along the way because he doesn't have very long at that temperature or he will die. So the steps are simple in a systematic process. I use the cheetah. First, there's inertia. You're sitting, you're doing nothing. An object at rest wants to stay at rest. Yes. An object in motion wants to stay in motion. So what you got to do is break inertia, right, first, and hit what's called movement. Movement simply means you're no longer sitting still. You got your ideas, right? You putting them in motion. You at least are putting it down on paper. Something magic happens when it goes from your brain to your hands and from your hands to the pad. Now you've thought of something and acted it out at least 2 or 3 times. It went from mental to actually, physical. Yep. So now you went from inertia to movement. Now we go from movement to momentum. What's momentum? Momentum is movement multiplied. So where you were first just starting to get up and running, now when you see what you got to remember, the further you go, the further you can see. The further you go, the further you can see. So now that you're moving and you are no longer sitting still, the universe starts to bring the proper pieces, places, references, and tools into your life. If I told you how I met Denise the broker, it would blow you away. She was leaving a function. I lost my keys and was going back into a function. I'm actually pissed off. Like, what in the world did I do with my keys?
Yes.
It could be anywhere in this conference, this hotel, or this building. She's sitting there and we just greeted each other, exchanged numbers. Next thing you know, I'm with Chuck because of a referral, because of a connection with Denise the broker who came out to Beane Acres. and was impressed by the vision. You know, she's helping me create the vision for myself. When I started to build a house on the 20 acres, she refers me to you. See, because I was not in a state of inertia, we took some movement, getting to know Denise.
Yes.
She connected me with you. Now we got some momentum. Now I'm gonna have you out at Beane Acres on my podcast to create more momentum. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't take those things lightly. The steps are simple.
Yeah.
Stop sitting still, get moving, get you some mentors and the right tools, listen to the universe, the voice of God,
yes,
and start heading in that direction. It's not as complicated as people think. Yeah.
Wow. I once heard someone tell me, I can't remember. Actually, I can. My mentor, Edwin Haynes, he told me the rich get richer because the rich hang around rich people. Absolutely. So when they have ideas, they can go implement because they're around like minds and like means.
Yeah.
Poor don't necessarily get poorer. They stay poor because they hang around people that can only see the obstacles.
Right.
So when you're in the process of building out that 20 acres, that vision for the podcast, which I saw the backdrop and I'm amazed by it. I really hope there's some catfish in there. So let's talk about that vision, right? Yep. Most people don't understand that buying land is almost better than buying homes, right? Yep. So when did that kick in? What made you say I want to buy some land?
Yeah, well, Oprah always said, God is not creating any more land, right?
Yes.
So I knew years ago that I wanted land because I know what an apartment feels like, right? No
yes.
equity, no ownership. Not knocking an apartment, but I teach people all the time that you're building somebody else's equity if you rent for too long, right?
Yeah.
I know what living in a subdivision feels like. Now you got HOA fees, but you can use the swimming pool between these hours. And if you want to use the clubhouse between those hours, and oh, by the way, make sure you put your garbage can on the opposite side, and those too many people park at your party, Brian. So I'm like, you know what? I've evolved now to get my own land where can't nobody tell me nothing. How about that? how about I had an event the other day, Chuck, 250 cars out there, and nobody even touched each other.
Nobody said a word. I love it.
Anybody driving the red Honda? They was like all on my own property. People in the back fishing, people in the front barbecuing, people on the side trail four-wheeling, people riding around the pond golf carting. Why? Yeah. Because I took that Peregrine Falcon vision.
Yeah.
Said a subdivision is too small for me. So how about I create my own subdivision, find some land. Chuck, I actually have street signs. Dedication Drive on my property. Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Abundance Avenue, Confidence Cove, Belief Bay, Resilient Way, Success Circle. You have to follow the street signs on my property to get to the different areas that I've built out. Why? Because I got tired of apartment. Why? Because I got tired of subdivision. Why? Because I got that Peregrine Falcon vision that I'm going to go above my goals and dreams and get high, have high goals and dreams, but stretch even higher. You see what I'm saying? You got to get higher than your goals and dreams. And that's what made me build out Beane Acres, man.
I love that the directions to the function are literally affirmations that they have to use to get there. So you've been able to build a wildly successful business in the speaking industry. And a lot of people feel, I guess there's a misunderstanding. They feel like coaching, training, and speaking are all the same thing. Tell us why they're different and which one you like doing most, Brian.
Yeah, believe it or not, man, I love training the most.
Okay.
Yeah, I love training the most because, a trainer's a person that's not trying. I hate to use the word try. I said I was going to take that out of my vocabulary. A trainer is a person that is making, if he's any good, making your life better with actionable steps that include implementation, right? Let's use the gym. So if you got a trainer, he's there with you, right? A lot of speakers and coaches can say go, but a trainer says let's go. There's a difference. So the trainer might be at the gym with you. Now, he may not be under the rack and doing all that with you because he got 10 of y'all together,
right?
But he's there with you, counting your reps. He's there with you, holding you accountable. I like being a trainer because a trainer is going to give you what's called inspiration. And there's a reason inspiration starts with IN, because it's inside you already. A trainer is just bringing it out and demonstrating to you in real time that you can get certain things done. A speaker is a person that may be on stage, but a lot of times it's kind of like cotton candy. They speak, but you still hungry after you eat the meal. You know what I mean? It's like, it's sweet.
Yes.
It tastes good. They killed it. You got this warm feeling when they're on stage. But you're like, all right, now what? What do we do?
Right. When you get back out and the car don't start. You know what I mean?
Get back out and don't do nothing. You know, get back home with the same habits, because they didn't give you a game plan. They didn't give you any actionable items. They didn't give you some steps to take when you actually get home. A lot of times, not everybody.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And a coach, you know, you gotta have a coach. Don't get me wrong. In the speaking world, I'm a coach. I actually have a speaker program that I'll tell you guys about later. Monetize your message.
Yes.
But I prefer being a trainer because it allows me to do the work with you. Whereas in a specialized area or industry, which in my case is speaking, whereas a coach is more, oftentimes, not every time, more generic in principle, right? I'm going to coach you through something and not a specific thing to get you to a desired result.
I can tell you struggle with the same thing that I do with being politically correct, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't, oh my God, it's like the bane of my existence. Exactly. You and I have someone in common besides Denise the broker, someone else. Okay. And when I'm doing my research, I look and I say, not only has this man worked with him, he has this man talking about his effectiveness. He has this man talking about how rapidly he's growing. So that only speaks to how committed you have to be. Mr. Les Brown, Mamie's baby boy.
Yes, sir.
So before you tell me about how that even happens, I've told the story on a couple of other podcasts. I met him in my network marketing days. Okay. We had to qualify, do so much revenue, whatever the case is, to do a weekend training with him. Wow. And this is about 15, maybe 20 years ago or so. Oh, Jesus, I'm old.
Not old, you're just older than you were.
Older than I was at the moment, right? So in that training, he says, he's talking about habits. He's saying it's all about your habits. And because of my habits, I could do more push-ups than anybody in this room. Now, at the time, I'm 23, 24. I'm like somewhere around 20, early 20s. And I'm like, I'm still East Oakland. I'm like, you got me tough. Like, Les, I respect the game, but ain't no way you could do more push-ups than me.
Right.
Takes out $100 bill. He's like, Chuck, let's do it. Gets on the floor. We're in Vallejo, California. Gets down. We start doing push-ups. Of course, I'm Paragon Falcon, right? I'm knocking them out, right? I get to about 40, 45, and I start slowing down. And he just has this system. And he's at 30. And about 60, I tap out, and he's 45. 6. He stops at 75.
Pace.
And he beat me, right? Not only did he take my 100, but he did it in a way in front of everybody. He said, Chuck, I know you're in shape. I know you're probably in better shape than me, but every morning I get up and do 75 push-ups. You probably go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week, right? I said, okay. So that's to your point earlier. You talked about systems, right? This is, I can't beat somebody that does it every day. You know, like no matter how much talent I have, I can't beat somebody that does it every day and refines those skills. So all that to be said, talk to me about how you met Les Brown and how you were able to work together.
Yeah, I do a quarterly event called Game Changer. I've been doing them for about 11 to 13 years or so.
Okay.
And that's where I bring people together. They fly in from different parts of the country, and some people have even come internationally. And I teach mindset, message, and money, right? And he's actually in the building doing a seminar, like 3 or 4 conference rooms down.
Okay.
And someone said, the 2 of you need to meet.
Wow.
And now, of course, he's an industry icon. I heard
Absolutely.
about him Yeah, I heard about him, you know, in my Jim Rohn days coming up.
Yes,
You don't know Les Brown, you're in the speaker world, and if you haven't
exactly.
borrowed from Les Brown, you haven't borrowed right.
Right.
And he actually heard about me in the speaking world, and I don't know how, but I was just as impressed. Like, you actually heard about me? He's like, yeah. He's like, I know you are. And he was like, you mind if I come in and let your audience know what I think about you? And I was like, sure.
Wow.
So he came in. We have a lot of mutual friends that we didn't know at the time. He came in, endorsed me. At the time, I was known as Eighth Wonder Enterprises, right? That's the name of my company.
I love it.
I felt like I was the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
But you don't know me. And he and he came in, man, and he just rocked it. Gave me the best endorsement in the world. Let people know that I was one of the up and coming guys to listen to. And I've been riding that endorsement and that wave since.
Listen, there's nothing better than that social proof.
Yeah.
Right. Even before social media and all that, there's nothing better than that social proof. And to have someone of that stature sign off, I mean, I can only imagine. He gave me an autograph, you know, around that same time, and he said, "Chuck, this is your time." And I'll be honest, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. Because, you know, I'm East Oakland. I'm like, people say this, he's supposed to motivate me. Right. He's supposed to tell me it's my turn. But a few years later, after I went through some stuff, I started to look at my mindset. I started to look at my money, and I found that journal where he said it's your time. And what I realized is that sometimes the message you get is in preparation for when your time actually comes.
Got it. Absolutely.
So while you're teaching money and mindset, why does it seem like the gap between motivation and transformation is so large?
Yeah, because here's the thing people don't realize. The reason the gap feels great is because there's a natural tension between A and B. It's natural. And these are universal laws that were here way before you were born. So instead of trying to combat them or fight them, what you got to learn is to just go with them. A is where you are. That's why it's A. And B is where you want to be. A and B have natural tension between the two. The reason the journey feels so long is because you're trying to get where you want to be by staying who you are. So the transformation is taking forever because you haven't transformed into the person that you need to become in order to get where you want to be. And because you want to stay who you are, that's why you're staying where you are. So you only have two choices. One, you can work on becoming a different person to get stronger to pull B to A, right? Or you can say, you know what? Erase B. Most people, Chuck, they just go ahead and delete B, and you end up where you are. Those of us that decide that, you know what, this journey isn't as far as it appears. I just have to change some things within myself. Maybe I am impatient. Maybe I do think negative. Maybe I do self-sabotage. Maybe I do procrastinate. Maybe I am in my own head. Maybe I do get in my own way. You see the person that says, you know what, let me look at myself. Yeah. And instead of breaking the mirror, let me fix the reflection. Don't break the mirror, fix the reflection. That's the person that's going to pull the two together and make that natural tension easier. It won't be, it never goes away. That's why it's called natural. Okay. Right. It doesn't go away. But you can get stronger and pull A and B together with a lot more simplicity than the person who just decided, I'm just gonna get rid of B altogether and stay where I am. But that's one option. But how long have you been there? How far has that gotten you?
Right. How's that working for you?
Yeah. So I'm just good, man, at working with the laws that the universe gave us. And I work within those laws, right? The law of inertia, the law of diminishing intent, the law of averages. These are laws that were here way before you were born. So you can't change you can't change the planet. Jim Rohn, right? Another Jim Rohn quote. Until you get to the planet, you can change it. But while you're on this one, work with the law of averages. Work with the law of inertia. Work with the law of diminishing intent. Work with the law of large numbers. They're laws for a reason. They govern this universe. So when you work with them, you get stronger. When you go against them, all you're going to do is lose.
I love it. So that takes me back to the journey of learning to accumulate your wealth and make your money work for you, what are some of the rules that the wealthy people already know that someone that is embarking on this journey should know ahead of time? Help them shorten the learning curve. What should they know about their money and their wealth?
Yeah, one of the number one things you got to know is taxes are your largest expense. It's not the government. It's not the cell phone. It's not versus AT&T. Yeah. It's not Shell versus Chevron. It's the government. Taxes are your largest expense. Property taxes, sales taxes, ad valorem taxes, luxury taxes, capital gain taxes, federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes. When you add it all together, you basically work a third of your year. From January to April, you actually work for the federal government.
Mm.
So the number one thing you got to do is get your taxes down if you want to get wealthy. That's why if you notice, all wealthy people, they make the 67% of a wealthy person's money is made with money. The reason that is, Chuck, is because money pays what's called capital gain taxes.
Yes.
That's the lowest percentage of taxes, somewhere around 15%. W-2 taxes pay the highest tax, 28 to 33%. And you really get up there and start making money on a W-2, it's 38%. So wealthy people spend less money in taxes because most of their money is made with money. Here's the key. The key and the journey is in the middle. The business that you need to open, ladies and gentlemen, the home-based business that you need to open, ladies and gentlemen, the speaker that you need to become, where I, for example, help people turn their tribulations into celebrations and monetize that message. That's what I do.
Yes.
I turn everything you've been through in life, your tribulations, into celebrations, and I teach you how to monetize that message. Well, the minute you become a business owner, you go from an employee paying the highest tax to a business owner paying the middle tax to an investor paying the lowest tax. That's called income shifting. So the key to wealth is to open a business, and in a pandemic, you got Zoom, you got StreamYard, you got your iPhone or Android, you got a laptop. You can inspire the masses with your story, get paid to do it, and lower your biggest expense, which is your tax burden. So that's the key to getting wealthy, is understanding budgeting won't make you wealthy. You can go from Sprint to Verizon all you want. That ain't gonna do nothing as far as your investments go, right? You can go from Chevron to Shell all you want. That ain't, you've been taught to budget. Wealthy people say, hey, let me get out the highest tax bracket. Let me pass it through a business and take the money I make from my business and make money with it, and the government taxes you less on capital gains. That's the key to wealth, is income shifting. And as a speaker, I can show you exactly how to do that. It's simple.
So I want to stay on this for just a minute. And of course, I want to respect your time. We're close to wrapping up. Of course, this is a conversation we can have all day.
Right.
Most people are scared to monetize their message. They don't feel like they are important enough, like their story is unique enough, like they bring enough value to the table. How do you help people combat that thought process so that they can monetize their message?
That's a great question. Let me show you, I'll give you two examples. Okay. Today's 20, I'm just making up this number, but you'll feel me on the analogy. Sure. 20,000 people just got fired. 20,000 people just got hired. 20,000 people just lost a loved one. 20,000 people just had a baby. 20,000 people just got married. 20,000 people just got divorced. So what's my point? When you think the way you think, when you think that your story has no merit, it's because you have a limited worldview. The world around you is changing every day. You see? So what you want to do is position yourself to become that person who has the message for the people who are going through it at that time. So if the world is spinning on its axis, and 20,000 people just got laid off, 20,000 people just got hired, 20,000 people just had a baby, 20,000 people just passed away, 20,000 people just got divorced, 20,000 people just got married. You want to have your message ready, so as the world revolves around you, you always have hundreds of thousands of people who are ready to hear it, because that's where they are in their life right now. It has nothing to do with where you are in your life right now. Okay, so you got to remember, you have a limited perspective when you think that what you have to say does not have value. That's number one. Yes. Number two, Chuck, answer the following questions for me. Do you think there's some Facebook group on, let's say, knitting?
Absolutely.
Do you think there's some Facebook group or some Instagram genius who's taught people how to make jewelry?
Definitely.
Is there a Facebook group on cooking?
Yes.
Is there a Facebook group on divorce?
Yes.
Is there a Facebook group on dating?
Too many.
Hey, Brian, what's your point? Social media has proven that there is an audience for who? Everybody. Everything. Oh my God. So you don't even want to know some of the groups I probably didn't mention, right? We're gonna keep that.
That's a different podcast.
We're gonna keep the podcast.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
the whiskey podcast. We're gonna
right. You don't even want to know some of the groups. Social media has shown you guys that hundreds of thousands of people, you'll go into a cat group. Man, people love their cats. Now, just because you don't have one, right? It doesn't mean that people don't share cat photos.
Yes.
Hey guys, what I do? My cat just coughed up a fur ball. Hey, my cat did the same thing. You will be surprised at the number of groups and communities that have come together based on subject matters that me and you would never even tap into.
Absolutely.
Your story has merit and value because you're not the only person who has lived it. Your story has merit and value because you were smart enough to get with somebody like myself and package it.
Yes.
Now you have the audience saying, me too, me too, me too. Chuck, I'm gonna give you this real quick.
Yes.
Do a lot of rappers talk about selling drugs?
Predominantly, absolutely.
Right. But nobody goes, you know what? I ain't gonna talk about that because everybody's talking about that. If that was your life and you put a nice beat behind it, people want to hear it from your point of view. You see what I'm saying? They want to hear it from your perspective. In the Olympics, isn't somebody going to run the 4x1?
Guaranteed.
So 4 people. Isn't somebody going to run the 100-meter? You don't say, you know what? I've seen that before. We seen Usain Bolt before. You want to hear the story. To me in the Olympics, it's every 4 years.
Yeah.
The up and coming person that went through all kind of stuff just to get here.
The Sha'Carri Richardsons.
Oh man, Sha'Carri of the world. The name of the game is the up and coming person that this revolving world that we live in is going to rally around because they're the new Les Brown. They're the new Tony Robbins. They're the new Eric Thomas. If I compared myself to Les Brown, I'd be depressed.
Very much so.
He was doing it before I was probably born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can tell my story and attract an entirely different demographic. No, I was not adopted like Les Brown, right? But for all I know, Les Brown didn't grow up how I grew up either. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I can tell my story of taking drug dealers' money and not selling drugs, but taking the drugs so my homeboys wouldn't get robbed. I held the money for them and I kept 10% of everybody's bank and they would come and see me and then my mom didn't even know. Like, there's certain things I learned in the streets that I take on stage with me. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So I have a strong belief that everybody's story, my motto in Monetize Your Message is, your story belongs to you, but your message belongs to the world. And that's our tagline. Your story belongs to you. You can have it, but your message belongs to the world. God put you through some stuff, not for you to hold it and keep it. He put you through that stuff so you can be an inspiration to a whole generation.
That leads me perfectly to my next question. In your experience, how closely related are practices like affirmations and positive self-talk to being able to manage our own expectations?
Yeah, it's very important. Some people don't believe in affirmations and things like that, but
correct.
Let me tell you something. If you keep learning everything on what's called a conscious level, right? That just means the stuff that you can see and touch and on a conscious level, you'll get far. But if you want to go to another level, you got to learn things you got to teach yourself on a subconscious level. Right. Because the only way to get, again, where you want to be and out of where you are is you got to use what God gave you something called imagination.
Yes.
You got to use what God gave you because you are allowed to say, my current situation is not my permanent situation.
Correct.
So you have to do certain things like affirmations and repeating those positive thoughts or the negative weeds that surround us all. Media, propaganda, social media, Instagram, Facebook. Negative is way less than it's way more positive in this world than negative. The negative stuff just gets shown more.
Yeah.
So if you don't trick your subconscious into saying the things that you are not, but you're repeating the things that are where you want to be, your body will never start to act and move and walk in that direction. I knew I was going to be one of the baddest speakers to ever hit a stage. I may not be the most popular. I'm not the highest paid. I'm not. But I always tell people, I wouldn't want to go behind me.
Let's go.
Look, I'm not the highest paid. I'm not the most popular. I ain't got the most views and none of that. But to my demographic, as I continue to work on my craft, as I continue to grow my instinct series, as I continue to create more messengers, then I know for a fact that because of what I told myself years ago, it got me where I am now.
Yeah.
I didn't get Beane Acres without thinking about it first. You understand? I mean, Chuck, I want you to imagine this. I'm a guy that grew up Southwest Atlanta, College Park, Georgia.
Hey.
My neighbor now is Ludacris. I live next door to Ludacris. You understand what I'm saying?
I love it.
The house, Ludacris is right next door to me. The house on the other side is 26,000 square feet. It looks like an apartment building. An NFL player. Denzel Washington's son lives across the street from me. And here I am in the middle with Beane Acres about to build my dream home because years ago I said, I want some acreage. Yes. I was in South Africa with my son, took him to South Africa for his 16th birthday. My assistant calls me and says, it's 20 acres on X Road.
X Road, yeah, please, X Road.
20 acres on X Road. I said, sign my name.
Wow.
Get it. I didn't even see it. You know what I knew? I knew that that's what my affirmations and my manifestations, it brought it to me. Now, people can believe what you want, but the opposite, let me tell you how you know it works. Because if you think small, anybody that thinks small, they're not where they want to be. Right. And you ask the Jay-Z's of the world, you ask the Warren Buffetts of the world, you ask the Elon Musk of the world, you ask the Jeff Bezos of the world, and ask them what they were thinking. So we ain't got to even argue about this thoughts are things concept.
Correct.
Just ask a broke person how they think and talk to them for 10 minutes. And ask a wealthy people how they think and talk to them for 10 minutes. And just ask yourself which one you want to be.
Different conversation. Yeah.
Don't argue about affirmations.
Man, listen, when my grandfather passed, I had to speak at his services. And one of the things that I remember so clearly is I asked him maybe about 10 years ago, I said, he was an entertainer, local entertainer out here in the Bay Area. And I asked him, I was like, you always on the stage, like, do you like talking to people? He said, not really. I was like, why? He said, because most people want confirmation, but what they need is wisdom. And I'm at a level where I only care to share and receive wisdom. Right. And again, grandfather was wealthy, right? He made it, did well for himself. And from that moment on, I understood, that was the realest, I think, example of I'm at this level. I can't have these conversations because they pull. It's hard to, push a wet noodle up the street, right? Yep. But it's so easy for gravity to just snatch you back down.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I love that example. So I usually do, you know what? We're not going to do that. I usually do a rapid fire round where I give, 5 words and pull, but I don't want to do that. What I want to do right now is I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
Ryan Beane's on Beane Acres, 5,000 people in the crowd because we can fit.
Right.
And you're asked to give 5 minutes on vision. What do you say?
Oh, so vision. Vision is something that's very, very confusing to most, but it shouldn't be. Most people confuse vision with focus, and they are not the same, right? Vision is your ability to see something behind your eyes before you see it before your eyes. What most people do is they think focus and vision are synonymous, so they focus on something small, when the truth is their vision should come first. See, your vision is the ability to expand. Your focus is your ability to contract. No one is better than the other one, but you need both. Start off with a big vision and narrow it down to a small focus. Here's why. If I take a snowflake, something as infinitesimal as a snowflake, right? And I roll it up and I continue to roll it and I continue to roll it and I continue to roll it, it'll eventually become a snowball and it'll eventually become an avalanche that can destroy something that was not solid, can now destroy something that was solid. That's because you had to have enough vision to see something small, roll it, expand it, turn it into a ball, roll it, expand it, turn it into an avalanche, and something that was once small can now destroy something that was once solid. The same thing is true for expansion of vision, is also true for its contraction. The same avalanche, when you break it down and take ice and break it down and turn it into snow and break it down and turn snow into a liquid, that structure that was once solid eventually became liquid. And that's what people will do to your goals and dreams if you don't have what? If you don't have vision. They'll take your rock solid structure, you know where you're going, you know where you want to be, you know what you want to have, you know what your future looks like, and they'll turn your ice cube and they'll put their heat on your vision and turn it into a liquid. And eventually that liquid will go into the ground and the sun will hit it and it'll evaporate, just like most people's dreams. You need to be the only person responsible for your vision expansion. But in order to make that reality happen, you got to get focused. And that's my keynote impromptu. On the podcast, we call that on the spot, right?
Yes.
Where we call it a freestyle on the spot. We call it a freestyle where a person has to give me a word. And it's funny, I didn't know you was gonna do me like that. A person has to give me a word, and I teach people in my messenger course how once you go through my formulas and frameworks and fundamentals, you can take any word and I'll show you how to turn it into a keynote address. Any word. And I'll teach you how to do a 3 to 5 minute keynote on any word using these frameworks. So I appreciate it, man. That was good practice. I hope you like that.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about the podcast really quick because I want to make sure they understand. POND, podcast. Let's talk about that real quick. And what can the people expect?
Yeah, so it's shot out at Beane Acres. It's actually shot on the pond. You know, when weather doesn't permit, we'll do something like this where I'll just be simulcast. But most people actually come in or fly in or drive in to Beane Acres, and we sit out on the pond. And I help aspiring speakers, trainers, and influencers use frameworks and formulas and their fundamentals in life to monetize their message. So if you're a person that knows that you have something to say, but you just don't quite know how to frame it, right? You don't have the formulas. You've always wanted to get your message out, and you know you could even probably monetize the story that you've been through. Then we talk about it on the podcast, and then I give you an opportunity to work personally with me if you want to learn how to monetize that message. We also have a section called Nothing But Money, and that's where we talk about economic empowerment. And then of course we have a segment sponsored by our Instinct series where we'll take an animal and give you the personal growth and self-development you need in order to monetize your message. So I'm the go-to guy for mindset, message, and money. And we use the podcast as our, and Beane Acres as our outlet to reach the masses. So if you guys want more information on that, man, they actually can text, can I give them a text message?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they can text the keyword instincts, right? If you want to know more about the podcast or be featured on it or my Monetize Your Message program, you can text the keyword instincts. And that number, I just changed it. It's 844-696-0845. 844-696-0845. So you can text the word instincts in the body of the text to 844-696-0845. And I'll give you guys some more information on the podcast, my Monetize Your Message program. I'm only taking a few speakers at this time to help them monetize their message because I want to be a great trainer and walk you through the frameworks to be successful in the speaking world.
I should have asked you this question earlier on in the show, but the conversation was so good, I didn't want to interrupt it. Mm-hmm. When did you know you made it? What was the moment? I often ask, was it a check or was it an event? Right? when you know that you made it, what did it feel like and when was that moment?
You know what? I'm gonna give you a crazy answer, man. I still don't feel like I have.
Ooh, come on. Now, before you do this, the people been listening to us for almost 60 minutes, and we've talked about Ludacris, Les Brown, acreage, money, mindset, and you say you still don't feel
like I have. You know why? Let me tell you why. Because, yeah, I got the acreage, I got the famous neighbors and all that good stuff. But here's the question for you. Let's use Oprah. Yeah. When she had the O Magazine, the Oprah Winfrey Show, Harpo Studios, she still went and started her own network, didn't she?
She did.
That's the coldest thing I've ever heard. The Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yes. Whoever came up with that acronym is a legend. Like, that's.
On, I mean, come on, man. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Right. Tyler Perry was making great money doing what? When he was Medea at some point, right?
Yes.
Then, so what you call those, the actual live plays. Then he went to television. Now he went to movies. Now here in Atlanta, man, he carved out like, I don't know how many acres. And he has a whole runway. You got to see it, man. He has a whole runway where his plane comes to his house. What's my point? Success is relative. Yeah. Have I done well financially? Yes. But until I can impact people like an Eric Thomas has, until my brand gets to the point where I can impact people, you know, I haven't been, but I heard Tony Robbins can speak on stage for 3 days straight and go speak for 12 hours with no restroom break. I'm like, and he got people walking on fire and all kind of stuff. I'm like, well, I may not walk on fire with you, but until I can
get some things we ain't gonna do.
It's just some things we ain't gonna do. But my point is, have I done well? Absolutely. Am I blessed? Absolutely, man. Am I fortunate? Absolutely. But there's always, it ain't about me. There's always more people I can reach. Yeah. So until I feel like I've reached everybody, which you never will, then you never really make it, which makes life worth living. The minute you start thinking you made it, think about it, Chuck. You might as well put an X on the human heart. They say put an X on the human heart the minute you stop striving and having desires. You were put here to keep growing. So the minute you tap out, they actually say you might as well be dead. So I hope I never make it, because that's what keeps me alive.
You know, I'm so glad that you said that, Brian, because I walk every day. I will tell you my biggest struggle personally, even business, whatever. My biggest struggle every day is I walk this fine line between 300% grateful and nowhere near content.
And that's a balance, isn't it?
Oh my God. It's the biggest battle that I fight every day, because I am in the house that my wife wanted to build. My kids are great. Money is good. And every day I'm like, there's more. And my wife is like, what do you mean? She's like, you like, enjoy the ride, enjoy where you are. I'm like, I'm trying, but I can't. Like, there's something pulling where I know that I should be here by now.
Let me tell you why. Because you're a lot like me. You no longer want to be the smartest person in the room. So you surrounded yourself with some giants, right? When I was the smartest person in the room, Chuck, I left out. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not, now who trains the trainer? Like who's going to help me, right?
Yes.
When you no longer the smartest person in the room and you start surrounding yourself with some giants and you start, I was with a gentleman the other day. He made $1 million last week. Whew. Last week. Whew. So I'm like, okay, so we doing it weekly now?
Right.
So I used to dream about monthly. And you know, when you're growing up, you hear annually. So hold on, we to the point now we're doing it about a week now. Oh, okay. So you never get content because you started to surround yourself with people, and guess what? They're expanding your vision, and that's just making you get more focused. So you hit it right there, man. Gratitude versus complacency. Every day.
It's so cold. And I had Amber Aziza on the show. She's an international speaker, and she says one of the things that she struggles with is her friends always ask why she doesn't ask them for help. And she's like, you know, I love y'all to death. I really do, but I'm the only one doing this. You can't really help me. You can listen.
Yeah.
You know, you can listen, you can empathize, you can do all these things. But what I found is high producers, top type A personalities, whatever it is you want to call them, it's hard for us to ask for help because nobody really understands this vision, this calling that we have. So in turn, we don't ask for help. We just go looking for the person that's done it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's easier sometimes to build community or be involved in a community where all ships rise with the tide, instead of trying to pull somebody with you half the time and you're uncertain about the next move you need to make. You know what I mean? So absolutely, man. All ships rise with the tide. And it's important that people like us, I'm so grateful to be here with you, because it's important that people like us connect. Yes. We understand each other's vision. When I launched the podcast, I want to make sure you come out. If you can't come out, we need to do it here, because you can help me. I know by now you hit the record button, then a whole show, and it didn't record. I know by
absolutely.
now you've done some things and your audio was jacked. So you can help me
Yes.
all those landmines. Why? Because you've been there, done that. Hey, Brian, don't do it like this, man. Hey, promote it like this, man. Hey, I'm telling you, I use that service. It's not all it's cracked up to be. So we supposed to, where I'm weak, you strong, where you strong, and vice versa. So you get in masterminds and things like this and hire people like myself and yourself to circumvent those landmines so you don't have to step on them.
Man,
that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. Look, we could do this all day, but let the people know where they can find you online and what's next for the world's greatest, Mr. Brian Beane.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you can find me on all platforms. YouTube is my favorite. Obviously, YouTube is my favorite as a speaker, as a trainer, and at Brian, Brian, N is my middle initial, as in never ask me what that stands for. Beane, Beane. So Brian N. Beane, Beane. That's Instagram, same thing. That's Facebook, same thing. That's YouTube, same thing. With my crazy last name, I never had to worry about it being taken, right? So Brian N. Beane is also my website. And to find out more about the Monetize Your Message clients that I'm going to take and help them turn their tribulations into celebrations, again, text instincts to 844-696-0845. And that'll put you in the database. So when I launch it, we'll consider you as a candidate for that program and maybe even invite you on to the podcast as well as a guest. Chuck, you already winning, man. You got to come out.
Oh man, say less. I can't wait to come out and share. It will be an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been rocking with the great one, Mr. Brian Beane, and yours truly, Chuck Hawkins. Here at the Hawk Vision Podcast, we've been talking about mindset, money, thought processes, and so much more. We even worked in a couple of animals in there. I hope this interview was informative, that we added a smile to your day, but more importantly, that we've helped you shorten your learning curve on your journey to success. Make sure your boy has some coffee. I am officially out. Like, share, subscribe across all your platforms. Send in your messages and your guest suggestions. I cannot continue to grow the show without you, my visionaries. I am so appreciative that you gave us your time today. You know how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. There is absolutely no miracle that will ever happen without someone doing something. We'll either see you at the top or from the top. The choice is yours. Brian, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
My honor, man. I look forward to helping more people whenever you call, I'm there.
Absolutely.